Delphi, Indiana, a warm winter day, and the crime that changed everything.
They meet a monster.
13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were reported missing.
She smiled all the time.
Libby made people feel good.
I'm going to find who did this.
Our community is going through a lot of this with us.
And we pray that today is the day.
Let's find this guy.
Now on RTV6 News Special, Delphi Daughters, the untold story of Abby and Libby.
This is the old Monon High Bridge along the trails in Delphi. It's here that Abigail Abby Williams and Liberty Libby German played, laughed, explored, made memories. They were in this area on the day they went missing and later found murdered. The killer is still on the loose.
Someone out there knows something about this.
Yeah.
What do you say to that somebody?
We pray every day that we'll have peace someday. We just ask that people just follow that instinct, that gut, even if you just have a suspicion. Just call it in.
Abby and Libby did a lot together. Both girls loved music. They played the alto saxophone in their middle school band. Both loved photography and painting. The girls were set to play softball. Both shared a special friendship. It was Libby who managed to take a cell phone picture of a strange man on the bridge. He's the prime suspect.
They didn't leave each other's side. I don't know what happened out there that day. Was there was a chance or an opportunity for one to break off or split or make a break for it or whatever, but you know, I look at it as, you know, two young soldiers that stuck, you know, covered each other's back, two best friends, you know. I wouldn't leave my best friend's side, you know, and neither did they.
There are no limits. Police are still looking for pieces of information. Billboards continue to alert people coast to coast not to forget the teenage girls. As people here remember the day, there was a call for a search.
Over 100 people out searching the area last night, walking both sides of the creek bank.
In Carroll County, police are set to regroup and restart the search for two missing girls.
Together, okay? That way we cover more property, quicker time.
21, copter 5.
We have found two bodies. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
State police and the FBI have been on the scene now for several hours. A number of units and teams have been here trying to gather information.
The bodies have been positively identified as Abigail J. Williams, 13 of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14 of the Delphi area. This is considered a double homicide investigation.
The two girls discovered in the woods, authorities asking for your help tonight. Their last Snapchat and the image of a man authorities would like to talk to.
And they now have enough evidence to call him the prime suspect.
We do have some new information for you today. Liberty had the presence of mind to turn on her video camera, but there's enough there that somebody could recognize this person's voice.
And if you're watching, we'll find you.
There have been more than 11,000 tips come in to our command center.
If somebody knows something, somebody has to know this person, recognize that voice.
It's not easy, and a lot of people are putting a lot of work into this, and we're hoping that the tip's there, and we're going to find it.
Right now, a tip hotline is open for you to take action. You can be anonymous. The number to call, 844-459-5786. With every sunrise, the families of the girls killed wonder if the new day will bring news of an arrest. Waiting for justice for Delphi's daughters. Aiming to master his shot, Mike Patty knows precision and practice pay off. during deer hunting season.
This area down through here is some of the best hunting area that I have. Well, you can see the hooves, the cloved hooves going in. This deer's heading that way.
The children and his family, including Libby, were fascinated by the deer tracks and other wildlife in hiding.
You can see coyote tracks there. This next season will be probably a little, it will be different because the time spent that usually you're just soaking in the great outdoors and the experience. There'll be a lot of thoughts running through my head, you know, about the loss of Libby and how that has affected our whole family. You know. So it'll be a different hunting season for sure.
14-year-old Libby loved the outdoors, and indoors, she was known for her chocolate chip cookies.
She was our baker. She could throw together a batch of cookies like nobody. She'd come in, have it done in half an hour or so, cookies laid out for everybody to eat the rest of the night.
These days, Libby's paintings, Libby's photography, Libby's skills on first base are sources of comfort. Then there's the use of sticky notes, another look into her soul.
She left me one day a note in my sun visor. I love you. Thank you for all you do for me and Kelsey. She made Christmas gifts for some of her teachers. Just kind of cute. She used, for her science teacher, she used the element table and made little blocks and spelled out teacher for her teacher.
That's cool.
Yeah, she called me one day. I'd given her some money for some item at school or function. It was probably a $10 bill or something. So she called me up and said, Grandpa, with the change, can I give it to somebody else? There's somebody who needs something here at school. I said, well, sure, you know, sure you can. So it's just the way she worked.
The Patties wanted to share these jars. They say they're filled with love. They contain messages from Libby's classmates.
Libby was always so smiley and happy. You are a very good swimmer, and I won't forget that. And she was so sweet and nice. Knowing she's gone is really hard. I miss her so much.
Nothing's ever going to bring him back. It's our job to fight, to keep it out there, to do whatever it takes to find this person or persons that has done this to them. This is our job now.
Full time.
Yes, it is.
Never ends.
Think about it from the time you get up to the time you go to bed.
Libby dreamed of becoming a science teacher. She was also interested in solving crimes or finding cures. Her curiosity in the sciences was serious business. She attended several classes up the road at Purdue University. Not far from here, the grandparents of 13-year-old Abby Williams are also heartbroken. Papa and Mima, as Abby called them, keep her belongings just where she left them.
Her things are still here. We just can't. We can't erase her from our lives, and we don't want to. We treasure her coat hanging on the coat hook and her shoes on the shoe rack, and her bedroom is just the way she left it. Because she may have walked out the door, but she's here with us.
The path to cracking this case has involved interviews with more than 500 people.
The lead investigator and his team are not lacking motivation. Their daily motto, today is the day, and it starts every morning with a prayer.
As we gather together today for our work that we've been assigned to, let's pray. As the officers say, today is the day.
That's their motto. Among this team, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman is the lead investigator.
Today's the day. Today's the day we're going to get closer to the end. Today's the day we're going to get closer to getting justice for Abby and Libby. We have all worked tragic cases, nothing like this. I can't even put anything close to this case.
And since day one, it's been nonstop.
Well, there's not a day, probably not an hour that goes by that I don't think about something.
From 20-hour days to sleepless nights, there's one goal.
And when you see the pictures of those two girls, it puts it in perspective.
He's led a team of hundreds of investigators, all trying to find the killer. But tracking down thousands of leads hasn't come easy.
It's a roller coaster ride. I mean, you're up, you think you got something good, and then for some reason it's eliminated or whatever, and that's tough on anybody. There's no doubt that we've been faced with a ton of obstacles, and we maneuver through those. We've been faced with numerous barriers, and we just have to bust through them. And I can't imagine what they're going through, and even talking to them, and you can see the raw emotions on their face, and they want to help us, and they have. They've been so cooperative.
And when it gets tough, he goes back to that saying.
It's definitely tough. I mean, I've choked up a little bit. I need to be here for Abby and Libby, because I'm going to find who did this, and then we are going to hold them responsible for their actions.
Hundreds of investigators from state police, the Delphi City Police Department, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, and the FBI are involved in the case. They all have just one common goal. That's to find the killer.
Call 6 investigates Paris LaBelle. At this moment, there's something that you can do. The FBI wants you to take a closer look at the people around you. Report to them any changes in behavior or appearance. If it seems odd or strange to you, they want you to let them check it out.
If something just wasn't right, if that person started abusing drugs, if their sleep patterns have changed, any indicators like that, taken on its own, doesn't mean anything. But when you put into a broader context of the timing and the location of that individual, may be pertinent. And I would ask the public for their help. We need that help.
The Old Monon High Bridge is in bad shape. It is not meant for people to cross. But not until fencing went up a couple of days ago for repairs. People dared to walk on the wooden crossing. Indiana's second highest bridge is not an official part of Delphi's 10 miles of trails. That may change in the future after extensive fixes.
She smiled all the time. All the time.
The mother who shares what justice will look like for Abby and Libby.
She was always in the middle of something, and it was always in a minute. Give me another minute. I'll do it in a minute.
And what you can do in just 60 seconds that could change the face of the investigation. The reward for information leading to an arrest, more than $230,000.
We now return to an RTV6 News special, Delphi Daughters, the untold story of Abby and Libby.
Abigail Joyce and Liberty Rose Lynn were typical teenagers. Libby often used the phrase, in a minute, especially when asked to finish her homework or finish a chore. In 1 minute, 150 million emails are sent worldwide. 250 babies are born. There are nearly 4 million searches on Google, all in 1 minute. Now the victims' families are hoping you give the girls 1 minute.
So that's why we've asked everybody to give her that other minute.
Do it now before something horrific happens again.
To look at this stuff, to think, this guy put behind bars so he can't hurt anybody else.
You could put a stop to this.
There's never going to be true justice for us because you can't bring the girls back.
You could bring closure to this portion of the case.
To close your eyes and listen to that voice. But if you can stop him, that's the best we can do.
One minute, a personal plea to you. Now let's talk about Abby. Her favorite question, is there anything I can do to help? It's that caring and joyful spirit that lets her mother smile. Anna Williams shared her passion for photography with her daughter Abby. The 13-year-old also loved arts and crafts, helping build this birdhouse and knitting these hats for newborns with her Aunt Maggie.
She loved to make things to give people. She loved to just be around people.
That included her volleyball teammates. She also planned on playing softball for the first time this year. Grandpa Cliff was so excited, he drove down from Michigan to take her shopping for the new gear.
This is Abby's kitty Bongo.
Yeah. And she named him?
Yes, she did.
Abby convinced her grandparents and mom, who's allergic to cats, to let this stray stay. And now the family's pain, immeasurable. Following the murder of Abby and her friend Libby, near the bridge they both loved.
Every morning when that sun rises, how do you keep going in light of all of this?
It's the stories and the pictures. It's the funny stuff. You know, the things that we've said and done throughout the years.
So for you, what does justice look like?
Justice will be that deep breath that we get to take, where my friends' children are sleeping in their own beds again, and people don't worry about their children playing outside. Justice in the law enforcement. We believe in law enforcement. We believe in the FBI and everybody else that's been on this case. That's where the justice will come from.
Abby's family was looking forward to softball season. Her mother, her grandparents, and members of her stepdad's family all played softball.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The global grief with Delphi's daughters and the heartfelt messages.
Somebody out there knows. I'm just asking them, please make the call.
Take a look at the purple and teal ribbons. And when night falls, Delphi glows. Orange bulbs light up the city. The goal? To let them shine until Abby and Libby's killer is off the streets. The murders are drawing international attention, with letters arriving from around the world.
The girl's death hits close to my heart, as I have a granddaughter who's 13. Colorado, Lakeland, Florida, the Netherlands, Australia, from Indianapolis. Although I do not know anyone in Delphi, I would like to give the families this money. These are what we're getting. Denison, Texas, Lafayette, California, Lockport, Louisiana. It's amazing, isn't it? Our hearts go out to you in your time of sorrow. We have children and know how hard this would be if it were our child. Oh, I'd love to meet them. Thank them for the prayers and the support sent with loving memories of your little girl. It's affected lots of kids, a whole school. They all made cards. Here's a Fort Myers, Florida. No, we don't know these people. We've had a couple from England. It's quite humbling. They think we're this special.
Nearly 3,000 people call Delphi home. It's about the same size as New Palestine, Pittsburgh, or Sheridan. The Wabash and Erie Canal drew business and the early settlers. Delphi became a city in 1866. There's no questioning the outpouring of support for the families. Storefront posters of the suspect are everywhere. There have been multiple fundraisers and vigils. When we return, the dream for Delphi's daughters.
Our community is going through a lot of this with us. So it's their love, support, prayers are what's helping us get through this.
The legacies of Abby and Libby will not only play out in the hearts of those who love them, but also among those who raised money through fundraisers that will help build a sports complex, including a park and softball fields in memory of the girls.
I see beautiful things for our park, for our families, for our community to be involved in for years and years to come.
Nothing's going to bring them back. Then we can do this to at least have a little piece of them here all the time.
The Libby and Abby Softball Park Fund is being managed by the Carroll County Community Foundation. You can mail a donation to P.O. Box 538, Delphi, Indiana 469230538. Online, www.cfcarroll.org. Click on Libby and Abby Softball Park Fund. One of the best gifts that you can offer is to call if you recognize that face or that voice, and give Delphi's daughters 1 minute. For the Call 6 investigators, I'm Rafael Sanchez on the Old Monon Bridge in Delphi.
They're out in one of the local parks in Delphi, Indiana, and they meet a monster. That's why it's different. That's why it's different.
I believe Abigail made our world a better place.
Libby was a person that made it a point to make people feel good.
This evil may have struck us, right here in the heart of Indiana and right in our home. there's a lot of good people out there.
Every day we wake up and we pray that today is the day.